The room was filled with soft music, white roses, and the kind of silence that only exists when hundreds of people are holding their breath for the same moment. Just before the officiant asked the final question. Just before the words "I do" were meant to seal to lives forever. A video began to play on the giant screen behind the altar. At first, people smiled, assuming it was a surprise montage, childhood photos, laughter, maybe a love story put together by friends. But within seconds, the smiles froze. The bride's face drained of color. A low murmur rippled through the guests like a sudden wind through a quiet church. This wasn't a celebration. This was a revelation. And once the truth appeared on that screen, there was no turning back. What you're about to hear isn't just a wedding story. It's a story about trust, about the masks people wear, and about how one moment can expose years of carefully hidden lies. Everyone in that room believed they knew the groom, his charm, his devotion, the way he looked at his bride as if she were his entire world. But the video told a different story, one he never meant for her eyes or anyone else's. A story recorded in secret, buried in silence, waiting for the worst possible moment to surface. As the footage continued, you could feel the air change. The decorations, the flowers, the vows printed neatly on cards, none of it mattered anymore. This wasn't just about embarrassment or scandal. This was about a life that was about to be built on a foundation that didn't exist. The bride stood there, torn between the man she loved and the truth she could no longer ignore. The guests weren't just witnesses to a wedding anymore. They were witnesses to a collapse. Tonight's story will take you behind that moment, back to how this couple met, how love made them blind, and how one hidden truth survived until the very edge of forever. It's about the friend who knew too much, the secret that refused to stay buried, and the silence that fell over a room when love met reality. Stay with me, because what happened after that video ended was even more devastating than what appeared on the screen. The hall was glowing with soft white lights, candles lining the aisle, and roses everywhere. Guests whispered excitedly, phones ready, smiles frozen in anticipation. She stood at the altar in her white dress, hands trembling just slightly, heart racing not with fear, but with hope. This was the moment she had dreamed of since she was a little girl. The man beside her looked calm, confident, almost composed, when the officiant asked if anyone had prepared a message or tribute before. The vows, the best man stepped forward. He smiled nervously and said there was a short video montage, something sentimental to celebrate love. The screen behind them lit up. At first, it was harmless photos of childhood, college memories, laughter, and shared smiles. People relaxed, some even wiped tears. Then the tone shifted, the music faded into silence. A new clip appeared, grainy, unplanned, a hotel room. The groom's voice filled the hall, unmistakable, intimate, laughing with someone who was not the woman beside him. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The bride's breath caught in her throat. Her fingers loosened from his hand. She stared at the screen, her mind refusing to accept what her eyes were seeing. The man she loved was living a life she had never known. The video continued mercilessly, revealing messages, dates, whispered promises made to another woman. The groom's face drained of color. He stepped toward the screen, shouting for it to stop. But the damage was already done. The bride felt the room spinning, memories flashing, late nights he said he was working, sudden trips, moments when his eyes seemed distant. All the signs she had ignored now screamed at her. Her chest tightened as shame and betrayal collided. Friends looked away. Family members shifted uncomfortably. No one spoke. The silence was deafening. The officiant froze, unsure whether to intervene. The bride finally turned to him, her voice shaking but clear. She asked one question, just one, whether any of it was true. He couldn't answer. His silence was louder than any confession. Tears streamed down her face, not loud or dramatic, but quiet, devastating. She felt exposed, humiliated, yet strangely awakened. This wasn't just heartbreak, it was clarity. As the screen went dark, the bride took a step back, then another. She removed her ring slowly, as if every second mattered. Each movement felt heavy, symbolic. She remembered all the love she had poured into this relationship, all the trust she had given freely. And now, standing in front of everyone, she realized something painful but powerful: she had been loving a version of him that never truly existed. The guests remained frozen, unsure whether to comfort her or remain spectators to this unraveling moment. Her mother began to cry softly. Her father clenched his jaw, holding back years of protective instinct. The groom reached out, pleading, whispering apologies, explanations that came too late. She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not the man she was about to marry, but a stranger capable of deep deception. The realization hurt, but it also freed her. She walked away from the altar without running, without collapsing. Each step down the aisle felt like reclaiming herself. The white dress no longer symbolized innocence or a dream fulfilled, it became proof of survival. Guests parted silently, some with tears, some with shock, some with respect. Outside, the air felt colder, sharper, real. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. In that moment, she understood that love built on lies is not love, it is a prison. And though her wedding had ended before it truly began, her life was not over. It was just beginning again, this time with truth. As the church slowly emptied and the echo of that video still hung heavy in the air, nothing felt the same anymore. What was meant to be a beginning became an ending, not just of a wedding, but of illusions, trust, and carefully built lies. Sometimes the truth doesn't arrive gently. It arrives when the room is full, the lights are on, and there is nowhere left to hide. This story isn't just about a wedding that never happened. It's about courage, about choosing truth over comfort, and about how one moment can change the direction of an entire life. If this story moved you, made you pause, or reminded you how powerful the truth can be, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another real, emotional story. Share this with someone who believes love should always be built on honesty, because sometimes the truth arrives just before I do.